What I want to do with this series is to learn to just spill and really open up my voice in a way that I haven't done before on this channel, because I'm sure that a lot of these feelings are universal and I want you guys to see that. I think that we probably understand each other more than social media ever allows us to think we do, and that's just part of living in the time that we do. But my brain is constantly filled with thoughts and feelings every day, and I'm grappling with these emotions and these stories and themes throughout my life, and I realized that I don't talk about it that much on here, and maybe I should, because hopefully if you relate to something I say, then you'll know that you're not alone. And no matter what your life on the outside looks like, there are people that closely identify with the real you on the inside. How's that for an intro? Welcome to this new series that I currently don't have a name for. So we're gonna try something a little bit different for today. In my latest video, someone asked about finding balance in college between school and life and other hobbies. So in this new series, I just want to slow down a bit and talk about life and some things and topics that I think are worth some discussion. On today's menu, we have balancing life and hobbies, social life and social anxiety. So let's get this Saturday started. The plan is I am going to pick up a couple of things from my room and pick up some groceries from Trader Joe's. Sometimes my mind is consumed with perfection. If 99% of something is like perfect, flawless, my brain will still narrow in on that 1% that's not perfect. And it's been like that for my videos recently too. And the thing is that I'm coming around to realize is that there's no such thing as perfect. There is no perfect video, just like there is no imperfect video, because it just is what it is. You can't make a perfect video because when it comes to creative things, there is no cap. It could always be better, and you can't always know how exactly to make that happen. I've been trying to grasp the idea that each video I make is the way it is, and that's what makes it a video, a good video, my video, whatever. I think a lot of us are perfectionists in a world that really isn't defined by perfect and imperfect, and that sometimes the perfect actually lies in the imperfection. But really, there is no such thing as perfect, and because there's no such thing as perfect, there's also no such thing as imperfect. Just because you are a perfectionist doesn't mean that you have to be perfect at doing things or always like on your top game, because I am not. But I'd still consider myself a perfectionist because I'm always plagued by the parts that aren't perfect, which doesn't allow me to fully appreciate the parts that are. And that's the whole catch. I had a jar of coffee, but I forgot it in the freezer. So now it's frozen solid. I'm gonna re-boil coffee. And I know a lot of you guys out there that are watching this are students, hard workers, creatives, maybe you're making YouTube videos as well. I definitely feel like some of you out there probably feel the same way. But from my experience, even when I try to make something perfect, it never comes out perfect. because it could always be better. So I've just been trying to erase this whole idea and define quality by a different standard. And that's what I really want to do with this new series that I'm starting. This blanket isn't even. Yay, Cindy, it's defrosted. So I know we're like deep into this video, but I'm gonna give you an introduction now if you didn't know. I'm 20 years old and I'm in my first semester of junior year at NYU. So good. So first I want to talk about balance, because what inspired me to start this video was someone asking about the struggle between balancing acting classes and school. And that really got me thinking. I realized that in my vlogs, it may seem like everything is seamless. You know, I wake up and go to class and then go to another class and come home and whatever. But that is so far from what it actually is. In my head, I am constantly struggling with balance, especially with posting YouTube videos, because sometimes I feel like this strong obligation and pressure to film absolutely everything that goes on in my life, to capture so many different moments to the point where they're not even my own moments anymore and I can't enjoy them. That's just one example of balance. It's also social life and work. I'm gonna be so honest, my ability to socialize is like at a dangerously all-time low. But I think for now I'm actually okay with that. And I haven't always been okay with that this semester. As a human being, especially someone who's 20 years old, you have so many priorities and you have so many, I guess, personal projects that you are starting or trying to see through or trying to see how far it goes, such as new hobbies or school or new majors, career fields, friendships. Like, you're always trying to grow who you are, especially when you're young, because that's when you're figuring out what you're all about, what you like. So definitely it is a challenge to live a balanced life. The whole point of having goals and putting effort into things is that it's not easy, and to do multiple of them at a time and expect everything to be met or get done is just quite hard. I've struggled a lot with this semester because with video editing, since I refuse to get a video editor for some reason, spend all my weekends editing videos so that I can post as close to real time as possible. And as that's happened, I've slowly drifted further and further away from my social life to the point where the norm is that I want free time. Anything else is like a threat to that norm and that comfort zone. And honestly, I'm kind of embarrassed to be putting this out on the internet, because I wouldn't say that's one of my finest attributes, that I'm scared when people ask to hang out with me. But I'm sure that I'm not the only person that feels like this. So I think that it's completely fine to talk about things that you feel, even if they're embarrassing, because what's real is what matters. In my last couple of acting classes, I started realizing with the help of my teacher that I have so many walls built up where my brain and my logic tells me, oh, you feel this way? Do this instead. Act like this instead. Think like this instead. Over the years, I'm realizing that I have been reduced to this persona that I don't think I am. But I think that I've been conditioned to act that way. So it slowly becomes who I am. Only I know, or like the closest people to me in my life know, that there is a discrepancy between who I really am and who I allow myself to be, if that makes sense. And then I start to question myself. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Am I not who I thought? Or why can't I be the person that I know myself to be in front of other people? It's because we've been trained to act in certain ways that aren't authentic. When you let that dictate who you are for so many years, when you carry that into adulthood, it becomes very, very hard to undo that kind of living. And if you're anything like me, you have many identity crises every other day. All right, so I got a little carried away there. So I was gonna talk about social anxiety later, but since we're already on the topic, let's get into it. I get anxious, but mostly avoidant of social plans. See, I don't know if it's exactly social anxiety that I have or something else, but I do feel like it is difficult for me to even make plans with friends that I haven't seen in a while. The only people that I make plans with recently happens to be my roommates and my boyfriend. For a long time this semester, I gave myself so much for being antisocial. I was like, I need to do better, and I genuinely got so stressed out by it. Then I would try to force myself to make plans that I didn't even want to make, and I would think that I was a pretty terrible person for not wanting to follow through. When really what I've been recently learning is that it's not so wrong to just listen to how you feel and just go with how you feel. I know this isn't always how you should act, but this also traces back to priorities. I think I recognize in this semester that my priorities do not lie in social life. Honestly, my priorities are exploring how good of a video I can make, trying to do well in school, exploring opportunities working in the arts or a creative field. Because, by the way, when I first entered college, I thought I was definitely doing consulting after I graduated. Honestly, this is like a fresh start for me, and when I first started, I felt like there's no way I can compete with people in like NYU Tisch or people who have done this all their life. So I felt this intense pressure to do more, and as a result, I was pretty much capped. Like, that is why I felt a little drained by social activities, I think. And like, if you understand that about yourself, sometimes it's okay to just be a little bit understanding towards yourself. For a lot of people, it's easy for them to be understanding to their friends or their loved ones, but they can never reciprocate that understanding to themselves. At the end of the day, you are your own best friend. You have to believe in yourself and treat yourself kindly, which is not easy, but it's only going to benefit you if you're on the same side as yourself. So I stopped my camera, but I remembered another important point, which is learning the power of saying it's okay. And of course, this doesn't apply to everyone. If you have a tendency to be really hard on yourself and like only focusing on the bad parts of yourself and not the good parts, there's a certain power to saying it's okay. It's okay that it's a Saturday night and I'm sitting alone at home talking to a camera, drinking coffee at 7 p.m. It's okay that I didn't get as much work done as I wanted to today. I mean, of course not always, but okay, also you should know I am an over worrier. So with that said, if you're anything like that too and dealing with anxiety or over worrying or a lack of self-confidence, you need to find moments where you feel like something is not okay, and you just need to say, you know what? It is okay. It is okay that blank. Because unless you're dying or broke the law or something like that, like, it is okay. Of course, I'm not talking about like very serious life and death situations. When it comes to the small things that can still sometimes occupy your mind throughout the day, think if you will even remember it in 5 years. Like when I was in high school and even college and stuff, I would worry about like assignments or quizzes, like, and I would just fret. And it would be like this one bad thing that I could never shake off. I don't even remember them anymore. Recently, it helps for me to just remind myself that it's okay and it's not the end of the world, and I probably will not even remember it. Honestly, once you kind of accept that like it's fine, I feel like then your brain kind of just like lets it go a little bit because it doesn't faze you. Like your brain only tells you these things because you care. If you don't care, the thought goes in and it goes out the other end and it just stops coming. By the way, I have no background in psychology, so half the things I'm saying might be bullshit. Well, that's how I think of it. So with all that being said, here are my tips on balancing school, relationships, social life, hobbies, mental health, and wellness. Sometimes you just need to go with the flow, and you need to forgive yourself if you slip up. The less resistance you have towards the mistakes you make, the easier it is to move on and pick yourself back up again. One really important thing that I've learned this semester is to be really conscious of these negative feelings that my body internalizes and sometimes likes to warn me through physical symptoms. It's taught me an important lesson of not carrying your negative emotions forward into the next day. You have to give yourself space to experience negative emotions and then cleanly move on. I kept this running diary of like an emotional check-in every Thursday, and it is constantly changing. You have to know that your feelings aren't permanent. Another thing that I find very helpful is maintaining your inspiration. True inspiration is one of the most powerful motivators, in my opinion. And true inspiration is not the easiest to come by. Sometimes it just comes naturally and something just clicks. Other times, inspiration can come in little ways. I like to listen to a podcast in the mornings on my way to school that serves to remind me that this little world that I live in my head is not everything. And in fact, it only exists because I choose to dwell on it. And in the mornings as I walk to school, I look around and I see that the sun is still rising, the sky is still blue. I'm still fine walking to school like I always do, and that it's a new day so I can start fresh and life goes on. Little things like that podcast every morning definitely help too. So find your inspiration, whether it's something grand or something small and daily, because your inspiration will keep you going when things get difficult to balance. Another thing you have to do is prioritize and be realistic. You can't have everything. And if you try to have everything, then you might not be able to give your all to what's most important. Take it step by step, but don't give up. If you truly care about something and it makes sense for you to keep going, don't give up because it's too hard. Don't give up because you don't believe in yourself. Don't give up because you don't think you're ever gonna get anywhere. Because consistency is so powerful. It's something that you have the capability to do, but you just have to make yourself do it. So take your goals step by step and push through the parts that make you want to give up. So at this point, I feel like those are the tips that I've been following recently that I always try to remind myself about when I feel like life is getting the most of me. So hopefully those can help you do the same.